Any second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Is there any other motions?
I'd like to make a motion of Southlake versus Westlake, case number 2020-007041-1. Make the motion to approve settlement agreement with the City of Southlake, whereby the City of Southlake will pay Westlake the total amount of $150,000 and authorize the town attorney and/or mayor to execute any and all needed documents.
Any second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. No other items. Executive session finished at 6:01. Now we're going on to the regular meeting. It's called to order. Start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, God, liberty, justice. Honor of the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. We have citizens and parent comments. Do we have any comments, citizens? Do we have any sheets filled out here?
Mayor, the one I have is, I believe it's Ife Adelier.
Okay. Is she here? Please state your name, address, and then what your issue is.
I am here as a parent. I am here because my kid was given an admission to Westlake Academy. She was offered an admission. And 6 weeks later, we received an email that the admission had been rescinded. And, the thing is that we were notified. We were told to accept the admission within 48 hours, which we did. We went to the school. We were invited to the school. She took a test. She taught the school. And surprisingly, we received this notification that there is no space. There was an error in the admission process. For that reason, they wouldn't be able to honor the admission offer that was made. I had reached out to the school. We were directed to the mayor's office. I sent an email, a statement into the council. I don't know if you all received it. I hope you did. It was a detailed statement and email expressing my thoughts and giving you feedback about the decision. And I haven't heard anything back. And I was hoping that I can, at least if a response cannot be given today, is there a timeline to expect a response from the council regarding my email? I don't know if you've seen it. You don't see it?
Okay. The timeline for response is you've already got a response today. We'll email back to you.
Okay, my husband got a response, but the response did not address the statements that I sent. The statement was actually sent on June the 5th. It was a nice PDF file basically asking the council, are you able to give us a little more detail about the error? Because we were told that an error was made. But then we were told that an error was made. It took about 6 weeks for us to find out that an error was made. We had basically rejected enrolling my daughter in the school that she currently goes to. She's excited about going to Westlake Academy. How do you tell a 12-year-old that you're going to a school and then turn around and tell them that they're no longer going for no fault of theirs? There was no reasonable explanation given. We were told that there is no space. An error was made. What was the error that was made, and why did it take so long to detect the error? I could understand if we were notified maybe 2 days after the offer was given, but then she's over there saying I can't even face my friends. They're going to be a liar. think about the emotional consequences and the psychological impact of the decision that was made by the council to rescind these offers. These kids,
The
they
council
shouldn't have
didn't
to
make
pay.
the council did not make an error.
Okay. Well, I don't. We don't know who. I don't know who made the error.
We weren't aware of the letters that went out. They were unauthorized. They should have never gone out.
So, so I guess my question then is, do we now punish these kids emotionally by not looking for ways to accommodate them? They did nothing that they weren't supposed to do. They were told, on this Saturday you've been admitted to Westlake Academy. You have a test there to take to be able to hold your spots. You can't go to tennis camp. You can't go to your tennis camp. You have to come in and take the test. We came in and we were told that your spot is reserved. You guys don't have to worry. Make your plans and, make your plans and you have a spot here.
You were told by somebody that's no longer employed in Westlake.
So should these kids bear the brunt of the consequences? It was still the school that made the offer. We didn't ask to be given an offer. It's not these kids' fault that they have to now carry the emotional burden that this has caused, not only them, their entire household. How do you tell a 12-year-old at that age where there is just a lot of emotional development that's going on that, you were admitted and then you're no longer admitted? So I would just ask that the council considers that. And, if there's anything that they could do, yes, we were told that, Westlake, the reason why we're being denied is because there is no space. Westlake is allowed to, I did a lot of research before coming here, 1450 students. That's what the state of Texas allowed Westlake to serve. I know the charter said maybe 25 per class, but is there anything at all that the council can do to alleviate some of the pain that these kids are going through, and as well as the families? Because people have basically made plans based on the admission offer that they received. They were hosted in the school. There were multiple staff members available at that meeting, and all of them said, you have our word, you have a spot.
No, I'm sorry. In citizens' presentations and parents' presentations, the council is not allowed to respond, and we have pressed the envelope a little bit trying to be courteous to you at this point. So we can get back to you with more information at a different time.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers, Amy? Second? Did she fill out the form? Okay, sure. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Marissa Mahon, and I am a resident of 2949 Rivercrest Street, Grapevine, Texas, 76051. Good afternoon, Mayor Kilbride and council members. My name is Marissa Mahon, and I've been a resident of the Grapevine Southlake area since 1992. I'm the mom to 2 boys, and I have participated in the Westlake Academy lottery since both of my boys were age eligible. One of my boys was granted admission to the Westlake Academy lottery and received an email notification on April 24th. The email states that we must respond within 48 hours to reserve your child's spot in their class for the next academic year, with the deadline to accept the offer. No contingency chances were noted. This decision was not an easy one to make for our family, but after speaking with key contacts at Westlake Academy, I was assured this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to intentionally shape my son's educational outcomes. We were then offered 2 different tour options, and the Google document to confirm the tour date selection, no contingencies on our spot were mentioned. During the tour on May 13th, we listened to a presentation to learn about the transdisciplinary approach used by Westlake Academy, unique academic opportunities, and many of us became more and more excited about the opportunity as the presentation went on. One parent asked if the assessments would inform our enrollment opportunities, But we got told, again, on May 13th, your spot is secure. You do not need to worry and can plan for the future based off this information. You made it. Again, no contingency enrollment offers existed. Our offers was rescinded 38 days after the offer was given. Since then, I've connected with about 20 of the approximate 50 parents who had their offers rescinded. Several stated they have reached out to you, Mayor Kilbride, and were not afforded an opportunity to discuss further, but were simply told the letter we received should answer all questions. Most all parents shared the same concerns I've noted in my handout. When did Westlake Academy first discover this enrollment error? What process did the rescinding go through to analyze next steps? Can you provide explicit details as how this will work with prioritization of the other second graders that were accepted, denied, and those who chose not to proceed with the selection, and how this new process will interact with sibling lists as well in the fall? Is there a new policy being approved for this? Will the lottery list with updates be consistently updated and shared anytime a change is made to increase transparency? Can you also share the local policy cited to make these enrollment changes that are not in the charter bylaws? Can you identify the TEA policy referenced in the letter with coordinating Westlake Academy data? And lastly, can you provide the number of students forecasted in each grade level prior to the lottery, the anticipated available spots at that time, and how those spots were filled with described lottery spot numbers with the spots that were in front of my son? And it would be beneficial for this to happen at all grade levels. The unintentional outcome of this decision to rescind offers 38 days after the initial offering are the psychological and emotional impacts. Mayor Kilbride, you've told parents that we simply need to understand that you simply understand the frustrations and concerns, but none of us are a seventh grader who's told everybody goodbye, especially those who have been in bullying situations, and yet now they'll have to face them once again. We're not a 7-year-old who walked out of an elementary school. He's been out for 4 years thinking he was never going to return. You're not the parent who convinced their child that this was the best absolute option at Westlake Academy, and now you have to break the trust and the promise to your child. The actions people took off this reinsurance of enrollment were people that moved, put their house on the market, changed jobs, turned down other academic opportunities like we did to 2 charter schools, purchased non-refundable uniforms and other significant life changes based off these promises, which did occur again, even if nobody was aware of what was going on. By the time we were doing those actual assessments, somebody should have known. You had multiple staff members reassuring us that we were going to be there and there was no more worrying. We were thrilled. And in your bylaws, again, there is no mention of these processes. There's no rescinding or contingent offers for the lottery that's outlined. Any current Westlake Academy parent who's participated in the lottery and subsequently offered enrollment to a world-class education would be able to empathize and understand the situation you've put many of us in. There are plenty of milestones we could have received this devastating news. Mayor Kilbride has stated in a Westlake email, you've stated you are the interim head of school. I kindly ask that you address the questions provided, reconsider these rescinded offers for enrollment this year, and also give the opportunity to prioritize lottery for next year for those who have had to make decisions since then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any other folks? Oh, sure. Come on up, buddy.
Good evening, Mayor Kilbride and council members. My name is Ben Mahon. I will be in 2nd grade this year. I wanted to let you know how I feel about this situation. I was really nervous about changing schools. My mom told me this would be a great opportunity for me, and it is a place I can ask questions, be creative, and be challenged. When I did the testing and the tour, I became excited to go to school here. I left my school feeling sad that I was leaving my friends. Now that we do not have the chance to go to school here, I feel like we made the plan for no reason. 2 of the things I was taught when I was little is to always be kind to everyone and have integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. The decision to take away our spots does not feel like it was the right thing to do. I ask you to reconsider everyone's lottery spots. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments, Amy? Oh, Jason's going up. I'm kidding. All right, that's it. All right. Thank you very much. Closing out the citizen parent comments and moving on to items of community interest.
Jason. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We've got a busy few weeks here in the month of June. We've got the Academy Budget Workshop coming up on Thursday, June 15th at noon. Then we've got the Town Budget Workshop a week from then on Thursday, June 22nd at noon as well. Our next planning and zoning meeting is the 27th of June. That's, of course, a Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And our next town council meeting is Monday, July 31st. Some additional notes to talk about. We've got a lot of progress going on, not only at the school, but in town as well. The portables are officially gone. I don't know if you guys saw that great video. Yes, of course. We're all very excited. We had that great video of the tractor trailer pulling it off. No one was upset about that at all. So. Yeah, some additional video of that as well. Yes, so that was
It was in one blow.
Yeah, certainly. But that was a big day, obviously, to see those go. And then I just spoke with Oliver right before we came into the meeting, who tells me that Thursday morning, bits and pieces of the new modular buildings will, in fact, be on campus as they start to be assembled, of course. So that's very exciting, and we'll, of course, get out there for that monumentous occasion. The gym renovations are going really well. They're studded out and so forth. I also spoke with Oliver about that. He said the goal is the first week of August for completion, which would be huge as well. So two major things going on. And, obviously the goal is to have those done and finished for the 2023-2024 school year. Parish Lane is nearly completed. Actually, the road is completed. Now they're just waiting on the signal lights to be installed. So we're thinking here in the next few days, Parish Lane will be open, which will be a gigantic deal for folks, not only in Westlake, but as Roanoke as well. Two other items of note: we will be closed, meaning Town Hall and the court on Tuesday, July 4th for the Independence holiday. And then finally, I want to please mark your calendars for the Military Heroes Run. That's going to be on Saturday, August 19th at 7 a.m. I know the mayor has become a staple at that so far, kicking off the event. This year they're going to have a 5K as well as a 10K. I just spoke with the organizers last week. They're extremely excited to make Westlake home. It's really cool. They have the ability to really make these races they can have them anywhere they want, but they choose Westlake for the third straight year, and that means something. That means that they're getting complete buy-in from you guys, from the citizens, from the corporate partners as well. So it's a tremendous honor to have these folks there. So if you're able to come on out, certainly mark those date, August 19th, Saturday, beginning at 7 a.m. Those are your items of community interest.
Thank you so much. Moving on to reports. Anyone need to see a report about the town quarterly financial report?
Yes, please.
Sure. Come on up.
Got on heels and I'm a little taller than everybody. All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening's report is on the second quarter of the fiscal year 23, so that goes through the end of March. And what you'll notice just right off the bat this go-round is the big change in including projections. If you'll recall, after the first quarter, I had mentioned that whenever we report on quarterly financials, that first quarter is usually pretty status quo. There's just not enough data for us to be making those revised projections. So we have included that here in the second quarter. Flipping through, okay. And one of the big takeaways, kind of the headline of what you'll see in all of our financial numbers, is that the economic outlook for us has improved from what we budgeted. And I'll go through some of those details here in a minute, just based on some of those major financial activities. Also, some things that you'll see and notice in here. What you'll see, I want you to know that we are planning to include that in our fiscal year 24 adopted budget. So a lot of the trends that we are closely monitoring current year, we're taking those forward and making sure that we're incorporating them appropriately. But to talk more numbers, get y'all kind of excited about all the numbers in there. As I said, revenues are trending a lot higher than we expected, but specifically we're seeing sales tax, franchise fees, and interest income trending much higher. I know that after the first quarter, we'd kind of touched on sales tax having some higher than usual activity that continued through January. It has since normaled off, so we don't expect that to continue. But that was a huge bump for us, and that affects a couple of different funds. The other one for general fund is going to be franchise fees. We're seeing those a lot higher than what we had budgeted, and that just has to do with higher energy rates. And then the last thing on here that you'll notice throughout a couple of the different funds have to do with interest income. So everybody knows the Fed raised rates all the way through the second quarter. So we're seeing higher revenues from just our interest portfolio. And then whenever it comes to spending, the big thing that you'll see in the second quarter, if you'll recall, the modular buildings were approved over February and March. So those costs are included in the financials this quarter. And additionally, the income that we got from the tax note that we issued are also in there. So starting with the general fund, if you'll recall, we adopted a budget for the general fund that had a $5 million deficit. Given the increase in sales tax, franchise fees, and interest income, we are looking at changing that to be a $1.2 million contribution to fund balance. So we're going from $5 million to the bad to 1.2 to the good, which is great news for our current fiscal year. Again. We're going from $5 million to the bad to 1.2 million to the good for the current fiscal year.
John, are you okay to send a note out to the town on that one? Okay.
And then the only adjustment we made after the second quarter to the expenditures was a $60,000 increase to reflect the actual contract with Keller PD. We had budgeted for the estimate, and it was just $60,000 less than that final contract that we signed.
On the sales tax, we have a sales tax offset and property tax. Does that take it? Does that money get taken out in the beginning before we get it, or does it come out at the back end? We do an offset. We have a 1 penny offset on our property tax. Half penny, sorry.
And so how that works is it all comes in together from the comptroller, and then whenever we do our property tax calculation using the comptroller's form to set that, we consider that for the next year's rate.
So, but it's already taken out at the county level down. Right.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, and then moving on to the utility fund, you'll notice that we didn't include any change to the projections for the second quarter. The majority of utility fund activities have to do with water and sewer sales and purchases. So whenever we're buying water wholesale, whenever we're treating sewer, and we turn around and charge folks, you'll notice going around the summer, everybody's watering. So that's when a lot of our revenues come in. We'll keep an eye on this fund, and then after the third quarter, which will end June 30th, we'll come back and look and see if this fund in particular needs any adjustments.
And when can we theoretically reset the rates?
We can reset rates usually about once a year. We'll engage with a consultant who usually does a rate study for us, NewGen, and they'll come and they'll look at all of our infrastructure and the cost to provide the services and suggest a couple of different options in the winter.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that scheduled?
It is not scheduled yet, but we're in conversations with the company. All right, and then the last section of major funds that are presented in here are having to do with the capital funds. So we have 3 different capital funds, and this is where we'll see all the activities having to do with the modular buildings. You'll notice right off the bat that we went from a couple of million to well over $6 million. And like I said, that has to do with that $3.5 million contract that was signed and the offsetting tax revenue, or the tax note revenue. And then the other thing that is really good for all the modular buildings, these funds all have interest income. So again, same thing in the general fund, we saw higher rates, which means higher revenue. So we've got some unexpected revenue that are coming in that we can use to offset some of those additional costs that we may see. And then looking forward, the next quarterly report will come forward to this group on August 7th at the regularly scheduled meeting. That will also be the first meeting where an investment report will present an investment portfolio that is not just TexPool and First Financial. And additionally, it will also reflect that we have had our cap on our yield with First Financial removed. So that happened at the end of March. You won't see that reflected in the second quarter here.
And so that cap, it was capped at 3 1/4?
3 flat.
3 flat. And so now we'll be at market rate?
We'll be marking back to TexPool the month before.
Okay.
And then all of these changes that we're talking about, whenever it comes to projections, we'll officially codify them through what's called a budget amendment. That means that in September, I'll come back here and say, this is how we would like to formally change the budget to reflect really the decisions that were made here at the dais or any of those revenues that we've seen. Y'all have any questions?
Have we started to see, there's a large company in town doing expansion, have we started to see any of the revenue from the permits or from the tax agreement that we have from them?
We have not yet.
Not yet. When do we project that? In the end of this year or the start of next year?
We wouldn't expect that through fiscal year 23 at all.
Okay. So next year could be really good too, potentially.
It would be great if we could have that next year.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Again, we're really glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay. Public hearings. G1 964, conduct a public hearing, consider adopting ordinance 964 approving a zoning change request from Office Park District to Plan Development District number 8, PD8, including a concept plan to allow for a hotel to be located in a portion of Lot 1, CM Rope, number 1510 addition that is located within the town of Westlake. The subject property is located at 3300 TW King Road at the northwest corner of TW King Road and State Highway 114, and take appropriate action. Ron, what's going on?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So you're familiar with this. This has been on the last few agendas. It's been tabled at the request of the applicant for different reasons related to the property, and they can get up and answer, kind of give you a status update as to where that is, but they're ready to take this forward. Just briefly, I think you've all probably read the staff report, at least on one of the agenda memos. I won't spend too much time on this. It's a fairly simple request in that it involves the location of a hotel on this property. And just to remind everybody, the property is on the other side of 114 between the Woodspring Suites and the Veraspace parking garage. Little triangular piece has been a parking lot for about 20 years. It's got a mud lift station on it. It's 2.5 acres, and so they want to put a 130-room, 6-story hotel. It would be effectively a limited service hotel, but that would have some minor capabilities of a full-service hotel as well. It would likely be a Hilton product. So they're wanting to rezone the property from the current zoning, which is O Office Park District, to a PD district. And the PD allows them to get multiple waivers to certain code requirements and also fit this thing on this property because it's a lot to fit on the property, not a lot of space. It's also wedged in by Southlake on the east and by Trophy Club on the north, just a little portion of the northern property. One thing we were working through all of this with the applicant is where exactly that common town boundary line is between Trophy Club and Westlake, and so you can see it on the top of this graphic. That is the final determination of the town boundary line. It's the dash line at the top portion of the graphic. So there's a lot of technical issues with the property. There's a mud lift station on the property. There's a lot of interesting and gnarly history with this property that goes back to litigation between Southlake and Westlake back in the late 90s. When you throw in the fact that the Denton County, Tarrant County boundary also moved at about the same time, it really made this property kind of problematic trying to figure all these things out. So we're at a point now where we've gotten past a lot of these technical issues, and so we're ready to move forward with the zoning case. So the PD has been teed up to approve the use of a hotel on the property with a concept plan that's attached to the ordinance, and then it would come back to council with a detailed site plan that would get into all the specifics of the hotel, and by that time they'll have worked through whatever access issues they need to work with on Southlake, on TW King, and also getting approval from the town of Trophy Club on the north end of the lot as well. So the Planning and Zoning Commission did vote to recommend approval of this back on February the 13th. So much time has elapsed since the P&Z meeting. We went ahead and re-noticed and re-advertised the case for this particular council meeting, so it is ready for action tonight. And the applicant is here to answer any questions. I'll be glad to answer any questions from you guys as well.
I do have a question, Wade, maybe for you. So this has come up a couple times, but like this has gone through P&Z. Do we do pro formas on these properties, see what we expect from tax revenue and things? When is that done? Or
We've done a very general kind of economic development analysis where they provided the estimated value of the hotel and what the estimated hotel motel tax revenue would be for the town.
So that's done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess my biggest question is, has there been a formal market study done for the potential demand case for more hotel rooms in that 114 corridor, especially in the Westlake area?
The town has not done any study of that sort.
Well, as the applicant?
The applicant, could probably better answer that. Will come up.
Hi, my name is Ken Patel. I'm part of the development. We have not done a formal study for an outside firm, but I've been in the business, hotel business, pretty much all my life. We have the Homewood Suites right across the street also, so we have a lot of market data internally on how well that hotel does and what we need to do a new hotel. I've built over a dozen hotels myself, and so I normally would do a market study if a lender's requiring it.
Yeah.
At this point, I have relationships with lenders who don't even require it because they just go in on our experience.
So I was just, I think Councilmember Graves was just bringing up a point. You know, we have, I guess, one data point internally here in Westlake, and that's our own Marriott hotel that's been here. And it looks like you've done a projection on potential tax revenue coming to the town. I think you say $379,500 per year. Just looking at some of the assumptions, so it's a very simple model, but you're assuming a 75% occupancy rate. Mm-hmm. So just by coincidence, the Marriott actually presented to us in December of this past year. And for the 2022 year, their occupancy rate was at 55.6%. And for 2023, it was projected to be 54.5%. You're showing an average daily rate at your hotel of $165. The Marriott's holding it about $135. And their amenities are more substantial than what's being projected for yours. And I think the revenue take from them for 2022 is about $363,000, which is less than what you're projecting for your hotel. So it really goes back to my question about the demand. You know, this is, as Ron said, it's a funny lot. There's a lot of ordinances that I think are being requested to be waived to accommodate this hotel on something that is not technically large enough to accommodate it under the existing ordinances. So why do you feel so bullish about a second hotel coming in? You know, we've got Entrada that's still to be developed. There's discussions, rumors about possible hotels coming in there. Obviously, we would never want a fledgling business to come in and struggle. So I'm just curious on that market analysis, why you feel so strongly.
Well, I feel like our Homewood has been very successful, and I do think there's a lot of barriers to entry around here. So whatever competition will come, it's going to be limited. And I mean, we've never struggled with occupancy at our other hotel in this area.
What is that rate?
Excuse me?
What is your occupancy?
It ranges from 75 to 85%. And only during COVID did we struggle. And even during COVID, that hotel struggled less than a lot of my other hotels.
The one thing I would think is our Marriott is like comparing fuel efficiency from a car that was made 30 years ago versus a brand new one. I mean, business travelers want to stay in a fresh product. So I can't see having a 55% occupancy in a fresh Hilton or Marriott branded product. The thing I would say is we're getting zero revenue off this kind of unique triangle of a piece of property. And this, compared to like having a Whataburger, which I would have loved to have, this is for personal reasons, but I look at this as a lot of potential revenue because we're going 6 stories up versus, let's say somebody wanted to build a title company or something there. So I appreciate your interest in Westlake.
Yeah. Mr. Patel, did you look at how long will it take you to build this hotel?
That's a difficult question because it used to be where the design stage would take maybe 9 months to a year and construction would take maybe 12 months to 14 months. But what I've noticed in the last few years is everything is taking longer. I mean, just for us to get to here has taken us like well over a year. So I really think the design stage can take longer. It could take 18 months, maybe even 2 years, just depends. And then once you go into construction, it's typical for another 18 months. But there's just a lot of variables, so it's hard to say. It could be much faster, and there have been properties that have done that, you know, even in the last 5 years, that from break ground to open in 12 months.
I think some of the issues that we're having in our local hotel now is due to the construction in our area. And I was just wondering if you have looked at the TxDOT project and made sure that you're in line with how that TxDOT project is advancing.
We've talked to TxDOT specifically about our access here, but I'm not so familiar with the other items that are going on with TxDOT.
We can help you with that if you'd like.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
No, I would just strongly suggest you come with a market study, because I'd love to see that sort of support, because I know from our own Marriott, you know, you talk about a business case used for this. I think you're projecting about 520 square feet of meeting spaces. The Marriott has nearly 15,000 square feet of meeting space. I mean, it is well geared to the business traveler. And for the last 10 years, we've been kicking tax money back to them to help promote shuttles to the airport, you know, local advertising. So we've been, you know, partnered very closely with them. I would feel more comfortable if we had a better understanding of the potential demand for yet another hotel in Westlake, but it's just my personal opinion. For the vote today, I understand that all we're allowing you to do is change the zoning. It's not formal approval. It still requires the ordinances be reviewed at a later date, so I feel we're giving nothing up. But I would just, you know, caution that we just have a better understanding of the model.
My question, Ron, is if we approve this now and the zoning changes, and for some reason the project decides not to happen, whatever happens, that's now the forever zoning for that, right?
That's correct.
Right.
Now, it'll be a PD for a hotel use, so with the same conditions, but it doesn't forbid somebody else from coming in, totally different operator, and coming in and trying to get that site plan down the road. But you're right, it's a permanent change. It comes back, changed again.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Me.
All right. Let's open this up to a public hearing. Are there any questions or concerns regarding this matter? Anyone? All right. Let's close the public hearing. And can I get a motion to approve?
First.
All right. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move it on to consent agenda. Anyone see anything on consent they want to talk about?
Not for me.
David?
Nothing for me.
Tim?
No, sir.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve consent?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. All right. Let's go on to regular agenda items. Let's quickly just start off with the easy one. Resolution 23-28, considering approving Resolution 2328, authorizing participation in Texas Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System as an authorized investment, and take appropriate action. Is there a briefing with this here?
Thank you all. The only update I have since this was first proposed back in April is just the confirmation that this is just the first step in us improving our diversification of our portfolio. As we've talked about previously, the vast majority of our holdings are all in one account. We would be entering into a risk pool with Texas Class. We already participate in Tex Pool. And then later on this fall, whenever we revisit the investment policy, what we'll also be talking to you about then is a list of brokers so that we can look at, as I said, further diversifying our holdings and working with individual brokers on direct placement sales.
So my only question relates back to our investment policy here at the town. I think Section 8 talks about the authorized investments we're allowed to make. Would this conform with all of those requirements?
Yes,
for our
Texas
policy?
Class and the manager public trust advisors, they are required to adhere to what's called Public Funds Investment Act, or PFIA, and that is what governs us and says we can or cannot invest in certain holdings.
Okay. And I think also there's another requirement under the safekeeping collateralization that everything is settled DVP. It says custodians be required to issue original safekeeping receipts for each security, et cetera. Would we have that?
We would
going
not
to-
have that with the pool. The way that the risk pools work is that they have everybody commingled, and it's really more about purchasing power.
Okay. So do we need to amend the policy? Because it does state that that is required for an investment.
We can absolutely do that, and
Okay.
that will come forward, like I said, later on in the fall whenever we go through the process of updating it again. But because we are general law, what the state says goes, and so that can actually trump us.
Well, yeah, but our policy could supersede state requirements, and I feel like ours is quite conservative. And for example, it says anything over the FDIC insurance limits, we are required to be collateralized by 102% in security. I feel like we're probably not doing this, and so we would probably have to amend our policy with this, I think, but I'd defer to your views on this.
So whenever it's talking about the collateralization, that's talking about what we're doing with our bank right now and not the risk pool itself.
Okay.
How much money are we actually moving into this?
That's still up for debate. I wouldn't expect us to move more than half of what our liquid holdings are. Again, just thinking about the diversification and the liquidity aspect.
And these, as last time I read, are very heavily in treasuries right now.
Mhm.
And a lot of the banks right now are negative on their treasury holdings because their bonds are at 0.5% interest. Their market rate now is at 5.25%. These asset classes got into trouble in the 90s, and they had to be bailed out by the state of Texas. I know that they do search, and do we do any due diligence looking for their stuff to, this happened in the 90s, just kind of double check ourselves on that stuff.
Absolutely. And Texas Class, as I said, they're being managed by public trust advisors. They haven't had a situation like that.
No, I know, but it happened in the state of Texas had to step in and bail these, and we're kind of in the same environment now where this week Fed's going to go to 5.25%, whatever it is, and they're holding a lot of these assets that are, there's a steep climb very quickly. The things are under 2 years, and so just intellectually, this hasn't existed in 20 years. So I'm just asking that question out loud. I mean, do we look at their holdings directly? I mean,
We do, and Texas Class is very good, just like all the other risk pools, about making sure that all of that is very transparent. They understand that they're managing public funds, so they put out all of their holdings and they do regular reporting.
no, I understand that, but I mean, there's several large institutions in town that are $200 billion in the hole if you look at their bonds, right? And they're solvent, they're good, but the nightmare has hit several banks already, and then we're also at risk for who else might need money too in the future. Who are there other towns investing? If they all try to dump their assets, we would be in a spot where that class would be in the hole. And I know this is a large fund, but it's happened very recently on this very same issue on several banks, right? And so I like to trust, but a lot of people trusted Madoff, and they said, oh, he produces a report, and then people finally read it and said it's the same report for the last 10 years. And so just food for thought as we do this.
And that is part of the reason that we're bringing something like this forward. The idea of diversification, not having all your eggs in one basket, as essentially we do now. This would be a good move to hedge against that same situation happening on the bank side.
Yeah, we got that risk.
It's inherent in
Bank risk
investments.
now.
Right.
And
No, I
Mayor,
think
that-
as a path to further diversification, I think this makes a lot of sense. I know we've discussed it for a while. I just want to make sure we're all kind of aware risks do still exist. It's not a perfect solution, but yeah. But thank you for doing the research on this.
What we inherited had tremendous amount of risks.
Yeah.
Everything was in one basket. So thank you for looking into alternatives.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Last item on regular agenda is 23-156, receive an update from the Northwest Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back. We used to do these every year, and then we all had to do a pause in life for a couple of years, and last year was very much a recovery year for us. So I have a lot of slides, but I am going to be brief and run through them really quickly. You have a packet in front of you that kind of gives you an overview of what we're doing, and I'll mention them as we go through it. And if you don't know me, I'm Sally Aldridge. I'm the president and CEO of the Metroport Chamber. I should have introduced myself. So we continue to be for the business community. That is what we're here for. We're also here for relocation, but predominantly we're here to serve the business community. We are a 501c6, and although we are a nonprofit, we are a business deduction for anyone a member of the chamber. We continue to hold our mission, vision, and value statements on anything that we take on, and when we're making adjustments with everything that we do. And this, of course, is our region, and we're grateful to the membership of Westlake. We have from Global 500, Fortune 500, to mid-sized, to small business, to nonprofits. So we have the gamut of businesses we have to serve. And then a brief overview of 2022, because our year runs a calendar year. So to kind of give you a synopsis of how we finished our year, we finished with just over 500 members. It was a drop because we kept on a lot of businesses throughout the pandemic because it was something we felt was the right thing to do. But last year we kind of had to pull the Band-Aid off and clean that up. But we did have a 24% growth, which was very good, as well as an 82% retention. But as you can see, the majority of our members fall in the basic and the business levels, which are the lower levels. And we really depend on the tremendous support from our communities as well as our larger companies to help enable us to bring what we do to the business community. This gives you an overview of the breakdown of where all of our members are. I have a copy of this slide. And then here's just a brief video for you to see highlights of our year. It's all right. It's just music, so we can just go through the slides so we can get fast because I know it's a long evening. So pretend there's this really cool music playing while you look at these slides, you know.
It's our flux capacity.
I was going to say, there are no words to this. It's just something in the background while we watch the slides. It's basically a brief overview to kind of give you, it's really more pictures on the successes that we've had, and giving you a little bit of a report on, especially with our events. We host 5 major events a year. They are major fundraisers that we host. And the Alliance Development Forum, we partner with our communities on this event. Many of you have come to this. And the Taste is our capital campaign event that we host over at the Schwab campus. And it's been very popular. I think we had over 300 people. Our Lone Star Legislative, which we held last fall, and we will host again in September. Our annual Golf Classic. Our luncheons, which we hold quarterly. We changed that last year to quarterly, a lot because of the venues and their costs that are going up, and trying to be cognizant of that for our smaller members. We average over 300 for that. Our Women in Business program is growing greatly. we're actually almost outgrown the Trophy Club Country Club, and it is a program that continues to grow. Our Business Builder, we move them through our communities so that we're actually taking the membership physically to our communities, and our mixers the same. And we started new member mixers to really engage our new members so that they don't feel overwhelmed. Our business education program, as well as our ELM, which I think is next, we host them now at the Chamber building, and they've become very popular, smaller, intimate groups, being able to network, learn different topics. And then our Regional Advantage program, which your town manager is a graduate from. It's a program that we do throughout a year, and it's a great program to learn about leadership and getting engaged in the region. Then you saw pictures of ribbon cuttings, our growth that we're having with everything we do. That was in place of the... So, moving on.
Well done.
So here's a brief recap mid-year. We're actually at over 550 members, so we're really growing back strong, which I'm thrilled to see. And a lot of that is the tremendous partnership as well that we have with so many of our big companies. And here's just a snapshot of our community partners and the tremendous support that we're getting on the high level from many of the companies at our president's level, our chairman's circle, and that's our member partners. And then on our events, our event partners, thank you to the town of Westlake for being a bronze partner, our silvers, our platinums. And then our areas that we truly focus on is networking, promotion, education, and advocacy. So a quick snapshot on programs. These are all the opportunities that our members can network. Some of them I've touched on through the slides, or the video, pardon me. Our digital network, this is bringing a lot of new business to us. We have a great digital platform that's many members are just finding us, looking us up, and joining online and getting engaged. And then education, our leadership program, our emerging leaders, our women in business, and our business education training. All the ways we're promoting our members. And it's all about getting engaged and getting involved. So we provide the tools, we engage them, and if they just join and think that a business is going to come to them, you have to get engaged to be able to do that. Advocacy, we have our State of the Communities address. Thank you, Mayor, for presenting back in February. Our Lone Star Legislative Report, which will be in September, our Regional Advantage Leadership Program, and then we participated this year in both the Denton and the Tarrant County Days. And then our economic development initiatives, which is what we do a lot, mostly with our communities. We have a strategic plan that we work on. We meet with our communities once a month on the projects that we're working on together. Our economic development brochure. In your packet is your business and relocation guide, which each community provides a full spread on that. Our website, of course, a video that we had last year, we're looking at redoing that. And then we're currently working with our communities on a regional comprehensive plan that overlays everybody's comprehensive plan so you can see what everybody is doing. And we're almost done with that. And I have a phenomenal board. This is my officers that I work with. And then our directors. And I have a small but very mighty team that works with me every day. And then all the ways in which we connect with the public as well as our members. And then also in your packet is, we're very QR code driven because it's very reality, it's organically on point all the time. So anytime we're changing anything, you click on the calendar, the directory, or join, it's all new. And how to contact us. And there's just a snapshot of some pictures of the things that we've been doing with the town of Westlake over the past year. And I want to thank you for a tremendous partnership I was looking back, and I want to make sure I say it right. Westlake was one of the original communities that joined after Roanoke. It was the Roanoke Chamber, then it became the Roanoke Trophy Club Westlake Chamber. and I came on in the year 2000. And so Westlake has been a member for 32 years this year. So thank you so much for your tremendous partnership. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I hate to say this. I was ignorant of this before I joined council, but I've been to most every one of the quarter luncheons. They're outstanding.
Thank you.
You guys really do a good job, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you know offhand, I know we got a lot of large corporations, but how many small businesses in Westlake that are part of your organization?
That is a great question. Can I look that up and send that to you?
Yeah, if you were to guess, would it be less than 10? Less than 5?
I would say less than 10 on the small.
So this kind of helps the larger, wealthy companies, but we probably don't
No,
have
I
very many
think,
small ones.
to be quite honest, I think that the larger corporations that participate in the Chamber of Commerce it's more of the goodwill and participation and being engaged to show the communities that they are here to help the economic growth. But most of the programs we provide is really for the small business.
But you think it's less than 10 or maybe even 5?
Possibly. I honestly.
And would that be the smallest out of all the towns in your?
As far as the ones, yes, in our
So we're
community.
benefiting the least?
Pardon me?
We're benefiting the least?
I don't think you're benefiting the least. I think.
Well, we're not benefiting the most, right?
Well, I think, so I look at the town of Westlake as a member, and the services that we provide the town is equal to what we do for all of the communities.
But I'm looking here at, almost $12,000, and we have the least amount of benefit for that. So I would think that our participation should be significantly less.
So we provide the community the same as what we provide all communities, the services that we
I hear
provide,
you,
the
but we only have
partnership we have.
1,800 people, half of which are kids. So I just think that we should pay significantly less because we have less people and less little businesses that it's helping. I'm just a businessman.
Mr. Shiner, also, though, when you look at Westlake as only being 40 to 50% built out, we also have the most to gain from being able to leverage the chamber to bring in more businesses, not just to working with the current business load.
Well, we've been part of it for 32 years, so, eventually it's got to kick in, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
I appreciate all y'all do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Go on to thank you very much. That's the last regular agenda item. We've already taken the action from executive session. Does anyone want to add any future agenda items? All right. And that's adjournment. Thank you very much, folks. Closing out.